Hello and welcome to fantasyfootballhub.co.uk's YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing another team reveal video. This time we are going with someone you might be fairly familiar with, someone with 6 top 10k finishes, a regular Fantasy Football Hub contributor and host of Hub's very own Green Arrow podcast. It is none other than Adam Hopcroft. How are you today, Adam?
Yeah, Dan, I'm really good. I must admit, I'm looking forward to the deadline just so I can stop tinkering with my team. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. We're just staring at our phones or our computers non-stop, aren't we? I think we all need a little break just to sit down and watch the football.
Yeah, exactly. Overanalyzing every little bit of team news and that's coming through. So yeah, just bring on the deadline now.
Bring it on, bring it on. So, right, first of all, let's have a quick look at your rank history, and it's pretty impressive. It certainly puts mine to shame.
Yeah, it's not been too bad. I think the last couple of seasons haven't been what I would have liked it to be. I've struggled, particularly at the start of the season. So, for me, getting a good start this year is pretty key.
Have you learned any lessons from perhaps some of your previous seasons then, or some of the recent seasons maybe?
Yeah, I think this time last year I was one of the few people that didn't have Salah in his draft.
Oh no!
So that was I've obviously learned that lesson, and but I think other than that, I think the big thing is just keeping it flexible, so that because I think it's really difficult at the moment to predict the players that will start well. So I think you just need to have get out of jail cards and pick certain price points where you can run away from the players quite easy, or move away, or and pick up the informed players very quickly. So that's the main thing. So I've tried to keep my team as flexible as possible.
Is this something you've done in previous seasons, being quite flexible early doors, or is this something new that you're trying to adopt this season?
No, I always try and keep quite flexible. I think probably this year, as we'll go through the team in a second, I've targeted like 2 or 3 players that I think could be quite exciting, and have got what I think anyway fairly high ceilings, because I think if I can get and I've got a fairly template team other than that, but I think if we can get a couple of players that that start the season well and maybe aren't as highly owned, I think it could get me off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm kind of interested about your explosive players now. Are they potentially differentials?
Wow, it depends what the audience is. I don't think there'll be a single name in my team that people aren't considering. But I think most of the players that I have in my team, and also the ones that I'm considering, I think a lot of others will be as well.
Okay, well, I mean, to be fair, template is template for a reason. That's what I always say. So that's no problem.
Exactly.
Okay, so I mean, let's hide your rank history in a moment. But I do quickly want to say before we have a look at your team, Adam. For those of you watching at home, make sure you are subscribed to fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Sign up. You can get 25% discount in the pre-season if you use the link in the description. That's gonna, after pre-season's over, it might go back up to full price, so get it in now. There's loads of tools that will become instantly available to you, unlimited access to all of Hub's tools. We've got HOPCROFT'S, which is my personal favorite, the player comparison tool, the fixture ticker, the rate my team tool, pro team reveals as well. Adam, was one of the pro team reveals yours every week?
No, I don't actually, because I tend to reveal my team in the on the Green Arrow podcast.
But we are going to be doing this, aren't we, as well?
Well, exactly. So I think it might be a bit overkill, and people might be bored of seeing the same team reveals from myself.
Well, I mean, if it's a really good team, people might want to see it absolutely everywhere, won't they?
Well, let's see on that. Let's see. Like I said, I haven't had good starts in the last 2 or 3 seasons, so hopefully it'll even out this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at your rank history, you can't be too far off getting another one in the top 1,000. You've got a couple of top 1,000s there, so I'm sure you'll be back there in no time at all. But on the topic of the Hub's tools, what's your favourite? What one do you find yourself? What's your go-to Fantasy Football Hub tool?
The best tool for me is the expected points, and I think You can filter it. So I use that quite a lot, and I'll talk about it on the Green Arrow frequently. I think it's a really good way of trying to spot the trend of where the future template is moving towards. So yeah, I do quite like the expected points, and you can filter it down, expected points per 90, per start, per appearance. So I think that's quite a good tool to use, because you can actually compare every single player. Because I think there's been other tools. So I mean, I'm a member of Fantasy Football Scout as well, and I do use like the expected goal involvement. But I think this takes it to a new level, because you can compare defenders as well. It sort of factors in both their attacking and clean sheet, and I think it's sort of it's almost like a one size fits all for expected metrics on the fantasy side of things.
Oh, there we go, guys. Make sure you go check that out if you are a Hub member, or if you're going to become a new Hub member now, just like us guys over here. So I think without further ado, we have a little look at this team of yours, Adam. So I've thrown it up on screen now for everyone to see. Do you want to just go player by player and talk about why you've selected each player?
Yeah, okay. So the goalkeepers really it come as a pair for me. So I'm going with Sanchez in goal. I think he offers great. I think he's probably about $500,000 too cheap. I think he offers really good value. I think Brighton's fixtures are good. And I've put Steele in, but that could be any 4.0 keeper. I think if Steele's on the bench, it sort of covers any injury or red card, or for the first 6 or 7 game weeks. I think some people might be looking at Martinez, but I think the £1 million difference, I would rather have invested further up the field. So that was quite an easy choice for me. I think the next 2 names on in the team sheet are quite popular. I think the most popular player in the game, I've got Luke Shaw and I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, and really happy with both of them. I just think they're the perfect players for the game. On set pieces, very attacking, play for 2 very good teams. Both teams have got good fixtures. There isn't a lot to think about there. And my third defender is actually changed, like a lot of people think on Tuesday, Wednesday, is Tsimikas. Now, I think there's been a little bit of, I don't want to say controversy, but I think a few people, there's been sort of split opinion on this.
Yeah, it has really been split on Twitter today from everything I've been reading, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think I saw your tweet on it, and I think you've probably called it quite right. How I see it, you haven't got him forever. If he's available for the first 4 or 5 games, great. But how I've split it is I would want to use him for the first 2 game weeks, so Norwich and Burnley. And I think what it enables me to do is that the other 2 because I'm going to have my structures, I'll have another 2 4.5 million defenders, which would be at the moment White and Veltman. But what it enables me to do is because I don't particularly want to double up with Veltman straight away, but it allows me to only double up in 1 or 2 games over the first 6 or 7 with Sanchez. But then White has got good fixtures and in a fairly decent Arsenal defence in game weeks 4 and 5. So I think between the 3 of them, I'll have rotation there. I'm not too. I mean, I did originally want Diego Jota, and he'd been in a lot of my drafts, but again, I would have probably wanted him for the first 2. And I think Firmino's performance the other night, I think he's going to take minutes off him, and it's going to be a transfer waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas Tsimikas can just sit on my bench. I'm not going to be too concerned if he loses his place or if Robertson comes back. It will take me to, I'm probably going to wildcard maybe game week 7, so or in and around, or potentially before. So I don't need to worry long term. And I think the big upside to it as well is if Robertson's injury tends to is for longer, and he actually does start well and maybe gets a couple of assists, he'll shoot up in price. So I can make a couple of 0.2, 0.3 million or whatever it would be, and it's an extra bit of spending money on the wild card. So I think it's a gamble. I think the upside of him versus the likes of a Marty, who might not play now with Vestergaard coming in, and the other 4.0 defenders is huge, because He could easily get clean sheets and assists. So I'm happy just to gamble on him. And if it doesn't pay off, I think there's enough other options in and around Jota's price that I can get away with it short term.
Yeah, and I can see one of them in your midfield right now, a similar sort of player who's, when he's in the team, you really want to have them really, really sort of points per 90 kind of thing. Greenwood there, who does kind of fill that Jota void in a way. They're the same price as well.
Yeah, with Greenwood. So, I mean, in terms of with Greenwood, my thought process is he's been in and out actually quite a bit. And I was always considering either him or Jota, or potentially a Man City midfielder for that spot. And I think there's a couple of things that I'm starting to like with Greenwood now. Is I think Sancho. There was a rumoured team today, which is whether that is the team or not. But I think he'll benefit from playing with Sancho. Sancho's very creative, and I think both Bruno and Greenwood could be the big beneficiaries there. And he's got good fixtures. I think he'll play. He's had he wasn't involved in the summer. Again, a big plus. And actually, I think a lot of my team, with the exception of Bruno, had some involvement, as did Luke Shaw. But on the whole, my team hasn't been involved in European football. And that's something that I have deliberately targeted, because I think that people will be phased back in and, may not be get any momentum until after the international break. So I like Greenwood. I think Leeds have got a few injuries as well, so I'm hoping he'll have a good start, and he's got a really good opening run. So yeah, happy to give him a go. And then I think like most people, I've decided to go with Salah and Bruno. Salah's a no-brainer, and I think a lot of people will captain him maybe the first couple of game weeks. But Bruno, I just think that it gives you the flexibility to get that second big hitter either up front or in midfield. So if De Bruyne goes off at any point, it's one transfer. I did experiment with maybe looking at spreading the funds and maybe going for like a Mahrez and a Son type midfield. But I just thought that if I wanted Lukaku or Kane, it might make it more difficult and an extra transfer to get there. So I think the flexibility... Yeah, I just think the flexibility of having Bruno is probably... I think for me it makes sense. And I actually think, again, with what I said with Sancho, I think you'll positively affect Bruno as well.
Okay, that's kind of interesting, because a lot of people have said quite the contrary, that maybe Sancho is going to take a lot of the creative pressure off of Bruno and allow Bruno to sit in a little bit deeper at times and maybe create from a little deeper, and Sancho will be the more direct creator, if that makes any sense. So there's sort of two opinions seem to be really split. Is it going to be really beneficial for Bruno, or is it going to maybe take a little bit of the emphasis off him? I think the real answer is probably something roughly in the middle of the two, maybe.
Yeah, I fancy Bruno to get more goals, because what I think Sancho is an incredible. He obviously gets quite a few goals, but he's very, very creative, and I think we'll see Bruno make more runs from midfield and try and get in and beyond. Whoever's playing centre forward. I don't think it matters if he starts as an 8 or 10. He'll just get more space, and it'll be harder to pick up. And he showed glimpses last season where, particularly I think in the European football, where he would make runs into the box and actually get some really, decent chances. So I think we'll see more of that from him. But I'm happy to gamble with 2 United, because I think Bruno, I mean, since he's been in FPL, no player's got as many points. And I think with Greenwood, he's not played football this summer. He looked good, particularly towards the end of last season. And I think Solskjaer will use him at least up until the international break. So if it doesn't work out, I think there's plenty of options to run away from, at that price range. So I don't really see it as a huge risk.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense to me. And then you've got Barnes there and Benrahma. What was the thinking behind those two?
Yeah, so when I was saying at the start, I've been 3 almost gamble picks, and almost said where I can see like quite high reward. It was Barnes, Greenwood, and Benrahma, and I think all of them there is a slight element of risk there. and whether it's rotation, whether it's that their form can be a little bit in and out. But I think Harvey Barnes is one I've waved on. Actually, I was always very, very pro Rafinha, but then I revisited and looked at some of the stats of Harvey Barnes before he was injured, and I just think he's got more goal threat. I think he's a sort of player. He's got, I also really like the two fixtures I really like are Wolves at home. I think they've got Norwich away in game week 3. And I think there's huge potential for big hauls in both of those matches. I think Wolves will leave a lot of space in behind. And Barnes and Vardy, I think, will exploit that. So I think, it's the first 3 fixtures are like, it might not work out, but I feel it's more exciting going for these type of players. Benrahma, great pre-season, but before that, I felt when he was playing at in a 10 role towards the end of last season, when he was playing towards the end of last season alongside Lingard, I thought there were times where he was taking the limelight away from him. And I followed Benrahma's career because he nearly joined Villa. Well, there was rumours he was going to be joining Villa at a number of stages with the Dean Smith-Brentford link. And I just really like him as a player, and I think he's starting to fulfil his potential. I think he's getting in pre-season. He got into some incredible positions. He was almost man of the match every game. He's a goal and an assist type of player as well. So I'm happy to. So at the moment I'm going 3-5-2. Now what I could do, because I've got the strikers that I've got are Ings and Antonio and a 4.5 bench fodder, is I could swap Benrahma to Tony. But I think Benrahma's more exciting than Tony. That's my thought process at the moment.
Yeah, that's very true.
I just think as well, there's a lot of midfield options, and when I was looking at my watch list, for example, there's players like Mahrez, Grealish, Gundogan at Man City. You've then obviously got maybe Sancho, Son. There's just so many midfield options. Rafinha, Harrison, etc. at Leeds. So I think I want to have 5 midfielders and probably just stick with the 3-5-2. So that's my thought process at the moment. And then Ings and Antonio, I just think they're proven. I think Ings' fixtures are exceptional. I think he's a goal scorer. I don't think there's much in it between him and Watkins, but I think what I found when I was watching the friendly on Sunday was that Ings' ability to pick up space is incredible. So I think Watkins will play on the last man, and I think he'll really try and stretch opponents, which means it's actually quite good for Watkins' potential. But I think what Ings will do is he'll just roam free, and therefore he's quite hard to pick up. And he's picking up sort of spaces in and around the edge of the box, and he's sort of trademark goal. He's sort of the shot from, round about the edge of the box into the bottom left-hand corner, and he was inches away from doing that on Sunday. And so I like Ings, but if somebody was to say they were going for Watkins ahead of him, I think both will do well. I think there's an argument to go for a double up with Villa's fixtures for the first 3 and then move off one of them. And then Antonio, just, I think, for the last 18 months, ever since he's played up front, when he's fit, you can't argue with his stats, you can't argue with his form. He's proven. And for both Ings and Antonio, there's players to run away from, or to players to transfer to. So you've got the likes of Bamford, you've got Callum Wilson. If I wanted to downgrade, I could go to Tony. Whereas with Tony, what I felt is if I was going 3-5-2, I don't really like any of the other strikers in and around that price point. So I'd have to almost make 2 transfers, because I don't think I'd want to go to Pookie or transfer sideways or down.
Yeah, I really agree with that one. So really, I completely agree.
So this is where I am at the moment. It could change. Team news will be a big factor. I think I had been toying with both Riyad Mahrez and Jack Grealish to come in, but I think then it just impacts another position in my team. And I think so. I could have gone, for example, Mahrez and Tony over Greenwood and Antonio, but I just think think I'd just prefer Greenwood and Antonio at the moment. But there isn't much in it.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at your team now, and your team is, I think, only one player different to mine. So
really,
I mean, it shows that there is quite a template for me, isn't there?
I'm intrigued now. Which player is that?
Okay, well, the player I've removed is Harvey Barnes,
Yeah.
and I've got in Callum Wilson as part of my hamstring trio up front.
See, do you know what? I do like Callum Wilson, and I have considered that. Well, I actually considered. So I think I've got the funds to do. What's it? Yeah, I do quite like Wilson. I was going to see if I had the funds to do Ben. I don't think I can do Ben Rama to Wilson. I haven't quite got the money there, but yeah, I think I can see the thought process there. Yeah, and I have to. It's really tough because I think the sensible approach, because you can then have a midfielder and a playing sub, is probably to go 3-4-3. But yeah, I think the only thing that puts me off Callum Wilson is I just don't like watching Newcastle. That's it. And to be fair,
that's completely fair enough. I think a lot of people will probably agree with you on that one.
But they were better towards I think, second half of last season. They're actually quite good at times, and they were involved in some really entertaining games. So maybe that's a bias that I've got that I need to work on. So yeah, I do think Wilson's a good option.
Yeah, but like you said, you really like the look of so many midfielders, and if you've got so many on your sort of short list, on your watch list, it's good to make sure you do have that option to make easy transfers towards them. And by packing your midfield and having those 5 midfielders that you can easily move about as and when.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that's where I'm at the moment. But we'll see tomorrow if things change and if there's any. And it's quite good recording this because I can see if I've made any panic decisions. It's all documented, isn't it? So.
It is indeed. Well, like I said, I really like the team. I hope you stick with this team as well, Adam, and we'll have a very similar teams and hopefully rise up the ranks together. That would be pretty.
I'd be happy.
That'd be pretty
with that.
good.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Guys, of course, in the comments, do let us know what you think of Adam's team. Is your team fairly similar as well, or is it quite different? I'm sure we'll all be very keen to know where everyone's landing up as we, approach the deadline. Indeed, but I think we should wrap this video up for now. It's been a great chatting to you, Adam, and just getting an insight into your team and how you like to play FPL as well. It's been really useful for me, so yeah, thank you for that.
No, I've enjoyed the conversation, and all the best of luck over the weekend.
Yes, to all of us, I think we're all going to need it.
I think so too.
Watch our TVs. But yes, it's an exciting one indeed. But thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you do subscribe to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. There's going to be so much content all through this season this year. So plenty to get excited about over here. Make sure you join as a member and get access to all of those tools. Make sure you like the video. Yeah, I think I've asked enough of you now. Thanks once again, Adam, for joining me on this video. And yes, goodbye everyone, and see you on the next one.